took out the Pistons in overtime. They take a 3-2 series lead. And you can call it a comeback because Cleveland pulled off something historic. Final 3 minutes, they went on a 9-0 run to force overtime, marked the third longest playoff run to force overtime in the play-by-play era, starting back in 1997-98. By the way, our NBA analyst, NBA champ, Big Perk, Kendrick Perkins, he was Little Perk back then in 97-98. But Big Perk, what caught your eye from the Cavs that put them now on the doorstep, basically, of the Eastern Conference Finals?
Well, look, outside of James Harden going for 30 and being a prolific scorer that he is, it was the physicality of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it started with their big men in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, who dominated on both sides of the floor, especially defensively, so much that they took Jalen Duren out the game. He was benched in the fourth quarter. When you think about Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, that was the first game, in my opinion, that they both played outstanding at the same time. Jared Allen, 2 blocks. Evan Mobley, former Defensive Player of the Year, 3 blocks. That's what we've been wanting to see out of those 2 guys. When they anchor the defense like that, because of the lack of perimeter defenders that the Cavs have, the Cavs are a different team, and that's why they were able to weather the storm and get back into the game. And then all of a sudden, we saw Donovan Mitchell and James Harden take them home with their offensive firepower.
All right, let's talk about that big man that you brought up in Jalen Duren. I mean, can we put an APB out for Jalen Duren? The man was an all-star this season, but man, as you pointed out, didn't play basically all the fourth quarter, nor overtime. He has certainly struggled throughout this entire series. Why do you think he's played so badly?
Yeah. Well, look, let me tell you this, BC. Usually I come on here and I want to give people like this the business for disappearing in the postseason, but I got to give the big fella a pass. He's asked to do something that he wasn't ready for. He's not ready for this moment. He's asked to be a Robin to Cade Cunningham in a crucial part on the biggest stage in the postseason. He's not that, but he's only 22 years old. He's going to learn and grow from this, and he's going to be better in the near future. It's just the point is that it was easy to scout for Jalen Duren. A lot of his buckets throughout the course of the regular season came from either him picking, rolling to the basket, catching lobs, playing the dunker spot, or setting wide pin downs where he was slipping. They didn't run a lot of isolation plays for him. So it's easy to take him out the game. But shout out to JB Bickerstaff, because that wasn't an easy decision to bench him in the fourth quarter. Both him and Isaiah Stewart, and roll with a guy like Paul Reed, because Paul Reed came in and provided some hell of a minutes for the Detroit Pistons, although it didn't result in a win.
Yeah, you're right about that. Reed certainly did step up, given the opportunity. So now you got the Knicks. They basically just chilling, waiting for the winner of this series. In your opinion, who's a bigger challenge to the Knicks? Is it the Cavs? Is it the Pistons?
Well, it's really neither, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with the Cavs, just because they have so much offensive firepower. Donovan Mitchell, he's capable of averaging 30-plus in the series. And now James Harden seems like he has gotten his groove back. And if it's one person outside of Victor Wembanyama that could neutralize Karl Anthony Towns and how great he's been playing, it's Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley's versatility is so great offensively and defensively. He could play inside, he could play outside offensively. Obviously, we know what he could bring to the defensive side of the basketball because he won Defensive Player of the Year. So if it's any one of these teams that I have to pick, it's going to be the Cavs that's going to be the tougher challenge for the New York Knicks. But I still would have the Knicks to win that series in great fashion.
And if it is the Cavs, the one thing they've got to stop doing is stop being so careless with the basketball. Oh, that's Big Perk.
Third, fourth grade turnovers.
You ain't lying about that. Sit tight,
man.
Big Perk. We got more from you here later in the show.
BC, we're following a developing story in the NFL. ESPN.
To the NBA, where the battle is on. Who's going to be the first pick in the NBA draft? And all of that's going down at the Combine in Chicago. Will it be A.J. DeBonsa? Will it be Darren Peterson? You know what? Let's bring in someone in the know. Our NBA reporter, Tim Bontemps, is there. So you know, Tim, the Wizards now have exactly 40 days until they've got to make a choice between DeBonsa or Peterson. How are they going about the process on deciding who's going to be the first overall pick?
Well, Brian, the huge win for the Wizards was to get that number one overall selection in Sunday's NBA draft lottery. This is a team that I believe lost 27 of their final 28 games of the regular season. They had the worst record in the league. They have been building towards getting an opportunity to get this kind of prospect in the draft. And now, as you said, it's going to come down to very likely a choice between A.J. DeBansa, the forward from BYU, you see there on your screen, and Darren Peterson, the shooting guard from Kansas, and the two guys who've been really locked into a battle for this top spot for the entire season. And I think knowing Will Dawkins, the GM of the Wizards, and their president, Michael Winger, they're going to go through a very rigorous process over the next month and a half before deciding on who they're going to take. I don't think it's a certainty that they take A.J. DeBansa. Doesn't mean they won't. But Darren Peterson's an incredibly highly skilled guard. He's a guy that has been at the top of draft boards going back to the start of the season. These two guys have gone back and forth at the top of the rankings, and I expect that decision will probably go all the way up to June's draft at the end of the month, and we'll see what the Wizards ultimately decide to do.
By the way, it seems like you can't go wrong with either guy. By the way, Darren Peterson is going to join us here on SportsCenter in about 20 minutes. We'll talk about whether or not he should be the number one pick. Okay, let's talk about the league now. And OG Anunoby dealing with that hamstring injury. Went through portions of a Knicks practice, got some shooting in on Wednesday. What's the Knicks' optimism about getting him back for the Eastern Conference Finals?
Well, from the beginning, after OG Anunoby hurt that hamstring in Game 2 of their sweep of the Sixers, Brian, they felt pretty good about where he's at. You see him here shooting on the screen. Certainly a positive sign for a Knicks team that is very happy to get a bunch of time off here and watch the Detroit Pistons and Cleveland Cavaliers slug it out in the other half of the Eastern Conference playoff bracket to see who they're going to face in the conference finals, a series that could start as soon as Sunday after Cleveland's win in Detroit last night in overtime. If they win a home game on Friday in Game 6, those two teams, the Knicks and Cavs, will square off at Madison Square Garden on Sunday to start the conference finals. So we'll see if OG Anunoby is out there for Game 1, Brian. But the important thing for the Knicks is to make sure that when OG does come back, he comes back at 100%. Because this is a guy who has had hamstring issues in the past. And the Knicks are not trying to just win 4 more games to make the NBA Finals. They're trying to win 8 and win their first championship in over half a century, and to beat either the Oklahoma City Thunder or likely at this point the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Finals, they're going to need a healthy OG Anunoby. So whether he's ready or not for Game 1, the Knicks need him 100% when he does come back to avoid a re-injury and potentially knocking him out for the rest of the playoffs.
And Knicks fans may forget, but he was playing phenomenal in the playoffs when he got hurt. I mean, he was shooting over 60% from the field and from 3. It's been about 48 hours since the Knicks obviously did away with the Sixers, and Daryl Morey, of course, he was their president of basketball operations for the Sixers, was let go. What can you share about the challenges that the Sixers are facing trying to find his replacement?
Well, Bob Myers, who won several championships with the Golden State Warriors, is leading that search for the new president of basketball operations for the Philadelphia 76ers, Brian. And look, whoever ends up getting this job and taking over the Sixers team, they're going to have a big task in front of them. And that's because of the challenges that are presented by this Philadelphia roster. You see here on the screen, those 2 salaries for Paul George and Joel Embiid, over $110 million next year, and even more than that the following year. Paul George has got $110 himself owed to him the next 2 years, and Joel Embiid's got roughly $190 million owed to him over the next 3. That is a ton of money in 2 players who have not even played in half the games in either season since showing up in Philadelphia. That's going to be a big challenge to work around for whoever takes over.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's our Tim Bontemps with the latest. Thank you, Tim.
All right, Brian, we got to count down the minutes until tip-off. 84, 83, 82. He sat alone with his thoughts in the coach's room in the Intuit Dome. 1 game remained with the opportunity to play another. The Clippers took control. Draymond Green barked at the refs. Steph missed a long 2 and then another. Kerr called timeout down 12-2. The Warriors clawed back with a 10-2 run, but the Clippers took control again. Draymond got a technical. The Los Angeles lead stretched to 8, then 10, and it went like this for the rest of the game. The aging Warriors had enough talent and heart to mount furious assault after assault, only to be repelled. Following one sloppy turnover, Kerr wheeled around and threw his hands on his head in disgust. These men had been kings of the NBA once, but that all felt so long ago. Draymond grabbed his knee and limped to the bench. A moment later, he returned to the court. The air inside the arena changed. The Warriors reached back and found their former selves just for a night. With under 6 minutes, Al Horford, who'd struggled all night, hit a three. Then he hit another from the corner, cutting the lead to 3. He hit still another from the opposite corner. A few possessions later, he hit a final 3 from the left wing, giving the Warriors the lead. The Clippers scored to tie the game at 117 with 2 minutes left. Steph Curry played the pick-and-roll game with Draymond like they've done for more than a decade, letting an off-balance 3 launch into the air. It went in, and he landed in the front row, emerging from the fans, pounding his chest, the Warriors now up 3. Down on the other end, Draymond muscled Kawhi Leonard, and as an inbounds pass lobbed in the air towards Leonard, Green swatted it away. The Warriors scored, and soon the clock hit zeros. The team came running, laughing, screaming into the locker room. For one night, we're us, Kerr said. We're champions again. An assistant with a stat sheet said they'd only led for 4 minutes and 6 seconds. Everyone laughed and tried to stay in the moment. Steve looked over at me and spoke quietly, almost a whisper. "I'm not leaving," he said.
Kendrick Perkins didn't leave. He's back with us now. Perk, you know Steve Kerr and the Warriors go way back like 4 flats on a Cadillac. 2 more years on his contract will make it 14 with the organization. So what do you want to see them do this offseason to give the team another chance at a long postseason run?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is that Steph Curry is going to retire in a Golden State uniform because he wanted Steve Kerr back. That's the only coach he wanted to play for. That's first thing first. Now, with that being said, when you have Steph Curry on your roster, the only thing that's on their mind is trying to win another championship. And the only way that you could do that is by unsaying your roster, upgrading, right? Going and get some pieces that's going to fit. And Scooby, when you think about it, what's available out there? What's the most important position in today's game? An elite two-way player, right? We see OG Anunoby, what he's brought to the New York Knicks. We're watching the Thunder have a team full of those guys. Same with the San Antonio Spurs. Kawhi Leonard is that guy. Kawhi Leonard right now for the Clippers, they have no hope at winning the championship. If I'm the Warriors, I'm looking at what Kawhi did last season, having his best career season offensively and playing over 60-plus games. I'll try to go out, make an offer, and bring Kawhi to Golden State to pair alongside Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler because we don't know what Jimmy's going to look like, especially coming off an ACL injury. Anytime you have Steph Curry available and he's on your roster, you got to continue to go out there and try to land a big fish to bring alongside of him so he can be able to compete in a tough Western Conference to bring home another championship.
Well, let's Beyonce this segment and play a game of dribble, pass, shoot. I'll give you a statement. If you agree, it's shoot. If you disagree, it's pass. If you need to think about it a little bit more, it's dribble. So first, the Warriors are the best landing spot for Giannis. Dribble, pass, or shoot?
Ooh, I gotta pass on this one because Giannis could go a lot of places, right? Golden State is not the best landing spot for him, in my opinion. The best landing spot for him is either Minnesota with Anthony Edwards or the Celtics with Jason Tatum. Giannis on either one of those rosters upgrade them tremendously.
All right, so this next one, the Wolves will win Game 6 against the Spurs. Dribble, pass, shoot.
Oh, I'm doing something I used to do in high school. I'm shooting that rock. The Minnesota Timberwolves are going to get Game 6 and force a Game 7. Anthony Edwards has a hatred for losing. He's going to protect his crib. I believe Julius Randle is going to be better at home. Rudy feeds off emotions. He'll be better at home. They're going to force a Game 7 and get the win in Game 6 Friday night.
Finally, LeBron will play another 2 years and end his career with another organization. Dribble, pass, or
I know
shoot.
you seen the video circulating of me handling the rock in my driveway. Damn it, I'm gonna dribble on this one because we don't know. I believe that LeBron James could play another 5 years. I think he's gonna play another 2 years. But I do believe that it is some motion there that he plays another year with the Los Angeles Lakers. And if the Lakers were smart from what LeBron James displayed this past season, they got to highly consider bringing him back for one more year to pair alongside Luka to give it another shot to see if they could get back to the promised land.
I have seen that video of you dribbling, and I love it. Kendrick Perkins, we love you too, brother. Thanks for joining.
All right, bro.
4 seconds left.